Welcome to the Allied Air Power podcast, NATO's sole broadcast that patrols the full spectrum of air, space, and cyberspace. Wherever you serve, consider this your ground truth for alliance activity above the clouds, beyond the atmosphere, and across the digital domain.
Headline: NATO Annual Nuclear Exercise, Steadfast Noon. Allied Command Operations has initiated NATO's annual nuclear deterrence exercise, Steadfast Noon. The routine training, scheduled to run until October 24th, involves up to 70 aircraft from 14 Allied countries and takes place across 4 host nations, as well as the airspace over the North Sea region. The primary objective of the exercise is to test and refine the alliance's procedures to ensure the continued credibility, security, and effectiveness of NATO's nuclear deterrent. This long-planned, routine event is integral to maintaining readiness and promoting transparency regarding the alliance's nuclear posture, and it is unrelated to current global events. No live nuclear weapons are involved. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said ahead of the exercise, "We need to do this because it helps us to make sure that our nuclear deterrent remains as credible and as safe and as secure and as effective as possible. It also sends a clear signal to any potential adversary that we will and can protect and defend all allies against all threats." During Steadfast Noon, service members will rehearse procedures related to the deployment of dual-capable aircraft units and the employment of conventional support assets in nuclear operations, ensuring all participating forces can coordinate effectively in a nuclear scenario. Exercise operations are centered at Vocal Air Base in the Netherlands, Royal Air Force Lakenheath in the United Kingdom, Kleinbrogel Air Base in Belgium, and Skrijdstrup Air Base in Denmark. Participating nations include the 4 host countries, alongside contributors such as Finland, Poland, the United States, and Germany. The training involves 13 different types of air assets, including dual-capable, 5th-generation fighter jets such as the F-35, surveillance and reconnaissance aircraft like the E-3A Sentry, and refueling aircraft such as a KC-135 Stratotanker, all serving in a conventional support role for nuclear operations. NATO and its 32 allies consider nuclear weapons a fundamental part of the alliance's overall deterrence and defense strategy aimed at preserving peace and preventing coercion. Story by Allied Air Command Public Affairs Office, with support from Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe. Published October 20th, 2025.
Headline: Romania adds new F-16 squadron to support NATO air policing missions. The 48th Fighter Squadron of the 71st General Emanuel Ionescu Air Base in Câmpia Târzi, Romania, began NATO-led air policing missions over Romanian airspace on October 20, 2025. The missions aim to ensure the integrity of Romanian airspace, strengthen the defense of NATO's eastern flank, and underline Romania's firm commitment to collective security. The certification of the 2nd F-16 Fighting Falcon Squadron marks a significant milestone in Romania's growing contribution to the alliance's integrated air defense system. It reflects the Romanian Air Force's high level of interoperability and its capability to operate modern defensive assets alongside other allied air forces. Currently, 3 fighter squadrons conduct NATO air policing missions from Romanian territory. Alongside the 53rd Fighter Squadron from Fătiști and the 48th Fighter Squadron from Câmpia Târzi, a detachment from the German Air Force's Tactical Air Wing 71 Richthofen, operating 5 Eurofighter Typhoon aircraft, is carrying out air policing missions from Mihail Kogiuch-Niceanu Air Base in Romania. Romania's participation in the NATO air policing mission highlights the alliance's defensive and cohesive posture along the eastern flank. Story by Allied Air Command Public Affairs Office, with support from the Romanian Air Force. Published October 28, 2025.
Headline: Allied Air Command participates in exercise Steadfast Duel 2025. From October 22 to October 29, 2025, NATO's Allied Air Command participated in exercise Steadfast Duel 2025. This computer-assisted command post exercise is designed to enhance NATO's operational readiness, interoperability, and air command and control in an Article 5 collective defense scenario. Directed by the Joint Warfare Center in Stavanger, Norway, and scheduled by SHAPE, Steadfast Duel 2025 is NATO's largest computer-assisted exercise this year. It is the first time all three Joint Force Commands, Brunssum, Naples, and Norfolk, train together within one coordinated framework, supported by the theater component commands, including AIRCOM. Major General Ruprecht von Büttler, commander of the Joint Warfare Center, said at the outset of the exercise, "Our increasingly complex security environment requires that we deliver more realistic and audacious exercises for the NATO alliance. With the scale and scope managed by Steadfast Duel 2025, we will do exactly that." Throughout the exercise, AIRCOM's air operations centers at Torrejón, Spain, OADM, Germany, and Bodø, Norway, simulated the generation of air tasking orders, directing aircraft missions within a dynamic, multi-domain environment. This training tested the agility of NATO's air power, ensuring that Allied air forces can plan, coordinate, and execute operations across land, maritime, air, cyber, and space domains. The exercise also reinforced coordination between AIRCOM, the NATO Space Operations Center, and land components, strengthening the alliance's capacity for integrated deterrence and defense. European Air Transport Command also participated in the exercise, embedding themselves into the scenario. EATC Aeromedical Evacuation Control Center specifically supported Steadfast Duel 2025 with aeromedical evacuation capabilities. Recognizing that future warfighting scenarios are likely to involve significantly higher numbers of casualties, EATC is actively working to align procedures and capacities with NATO allies in the field of medical evacuation, or medevac. As NATO's air component, AIRCOM is responsible for directing Allied air operations from across the alliance. The exercise provided a platform to strengthen interoperability and cohesion across Allied air and space assets, ensuring that NATO can execute its regional defense plans with precision and speed. Steadfast Duel 2025 underscores NATO's commitment to readiness, unity, and collective defense. By integrating air, space, and cyber capabilities into the wider joint operational picture, AIRCOM ensures that Allied air power remains a decisive and credible element of NATO's deterrence and defense posture across the Euro-Atlantic area. Story by Allied Air Command Public Affairs Office. Published October 30, 2025.
Headline: The Cross of the German Armed Forces in Gold awarded for expert leadership during Pacific Skies 2024. During a ceremony at Allied Air Command on October 31, 2025, Deputy Commander, General de Corps REN Guillaume Toemau, was awarded the Cross of the German Armed Forces in Gold for his service during Exercise Pacific Skies 2024. General Ingo Gerhardt, Commander of Allied Joint Force Command Brunssum, presented General Toemau with the Cross of the German Armed Forces in Gold for his instrumental leadership during the exercise. The decoration is awarded by the Federal Minister of Defense as a visible commendation for loyal service and exemplary execution of duties. This significant award is a testament to the Deputy Commander of AIRCOM's pivotal role in overcoming complex logistical and operational challenges inherent in a large-scale multinational exercise. It underscores the profound appreciation for their commitment to strengthening the military partnership between Germany, France, NATO's Allied Air Command, and the entire alliance in pursuit of air security and deterrence. Exercise Pacific Skies 2024 set new standards to enhance operational capabilities, demonstrating the ability of Allied forces to work together, strengthening commitment and cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region. The exercise brought together, in a complex, high-intensity environment, a powerful and diverse collection of air assets, including fighter jets and enablers from several NATO nations, among them France, Germany, Spain, and the United States. Pacific Skies was based on an idea of General Ingo Gerhardt in his former position as German Air Chief, with lessons immediately translated into operational best practices for the alliance. In this iteration, key leadership positions were filled by different nations, ensuring an integrated approach that enhanced interoperability and cohesion among all allies. Today, the same airmen who directed the Pacific Skies series in 2024 are serving under NATO AIRCOM, underlining the fundamental roles of national air experts within NATO's command structure. In particular, General Toemau from France, Major General Frank Greyfay from Germany, Brigadier General Kevin Jamieson from the United States, and Lieutenant Colonel Fernando Santiago Ematillana from Spain all played integral roles during Pacific Skies and continue to serve in vital positions at Allied Air Command. Pacific skies, originating from General Ingo Gerhardt's vision as German Air Chief, led to a trinational deployment. This high degree of integration ensured that lessons learned from the exercise were immediately applied as operational best practices across the alliance. Story by Allied Air Command Public Affairs Office. Published November 6, 2025.
Headline: French General Guillaume Thomas, the new Deputy Commander of Allied Air Command. Allied Air Command welcomes General de Corps REN, Guillaume Thomas as its new Deputy Commander, effective October 30, 2025. General Thomas is an experienced pilot who began his operational career flying the Hercules C-130. Early in his career, he qualified as a captain and instructor, with operational deployments in Africa, the Middle East, and the former Yugoslavia. Joining NATO's Allied Air Command after serving as Chief of Staff of the French Air Defense and Air Operations Command, General Thomas also commanded the air component of Operation Barkhane and that of the NATO Response Force in 2022. In his role, he has been responsible for numerous conventional air operations conducted by the French Air and Space Force, including those carried out along the eastern flank of Europe following the Russian invasion of Ukraine. General Thomas said, "I join AirCom staff as Deputy Commander with great determination, enthusiasm, and pride. As war returns to the European continent, AirCom is making air and space power a major advantage for the security and collective defense of the Euro-Atlantic area. Now more than ever, we must be ready to respond together to all threats." General Thomas is an officer of the Legion of Honor, a commander of the National Order of Merit, and a holder of the Aeronautics Medal. He has logged over 4,400 flight hours and 116 combat missions. The position of Deputy Commander at Allied Air Command alternates between a French and a British three-star general. The headquarters staff bid farewell to Air Marshal Sir Johnny Stringer, who handed over the mantle after serving more than 3 years as Deputy Commander in a traditional headquarters walkout ceremony. Story by Allied Air Command Public Affairs Office. Published November 4, 2025.
Headline: U.S. Lieutenant General Hinds assumes command of NATO's Allied Air Command. U.S. Air Force Lieutenant General Jason T. Hinds assumed command of NATO's Allied Air Command, U.S. Air Forces in Europe, and U.S. Air Forces Africa during an official ceremony on Friday, October 31, 2025. General Hecker relinquished command earlier this summer to retire after 36 years of distinguished service. Air Marshal Sir Johnny Stringer, Deputy Commander at AirCom, served as the acting commander in the interim. In front of international senior military and civilian personnel representing NATO, the US, host nation Germany, and local communities, General Alexis G. Grinkiewicz, NATO Supreme Allied Commander Europe, or SACEUR, conducted the Assumption of Command ceremony, passing the guidon to the new commander of AirCom, Lieutenant General Hinds. Lieutenant General Hinds assumed command of NATO's air component, which directs and coordinates Allied air and space operations across the Euro-Atlantic area. This includes responsibility for maintaining the readiness, interoperability, and operational effectiveness of all NATO air forces, ensuring the alliance's ability to deliver deterrence and defense from peace to crisis. In this domain, the air policing detachments currently in the Baltics and Romania, operating as part of the enhanced vigilance activity known as Eastern Sentry, are tangible examples of Allied Air Command's commitment. Lieutenant General Hinds said during his remarks at the ceremony, "Threats are very real, and they're becoming increasingly more complex. And threats are evolving at rates we have not experienced in recent history. We are and we must continue to rapidly adapt to this new threat environment, and work together as allies and partners to be ready for the high-end fight." He closed the ceremony with a charge to the alliance, stating, "Our unity, purpose, and collective deterrence is our strength. And should deterrence fail, we must be ready to fight tonight, fight tomorrow, and fight together." Story by Allied Air Command Public Affairs Office, with support from U.S. Air Forces in Europe. Published November 3, 2025.
That wraps up this flight of the Allied A Power podcast, where news-driven updates meet the authentic voices behind the mission to defend every inch of NATO territory. Until our next sortie, stand ready in the air, secure in cyberspace, and steadfast on our path to the stars.